Oh, goody. Lights, camera, action. Sky here, director of Table Task Productions. I'm making this all up. This is Table Task 42. Aha! What is 42, you say? Let's see what it is. It is... Let me see if you can see that okay. Learning how to use a finish hammer. Okay. Good. Now we're going to move over this way. Aha. Trying to use my high-tech editing skills. You guys are all familiar with a hammer. So this particular task is all about a particular type of hammer that you use a lot in the shop setting. It's the one you use to build furniture, build projects, smaller projects with, and it is called a finish hammer. There's one version of it, there's another version of it. Take a look at them, see what you see that is different. All right, that's what we're going to talk about, a little bit about that. So let's talk about how you use this and why you use this. The finish hammer, like so, is primarily used to do finish work, finish carpentry, like all your interior woodworking in your house, the moldings that go along the base of the wall, around the doors, the cabinets when they built them, even the furniture themselves. If you're going to use a hammer, it's going to be a finish hammer. Now, what distinguishes a finish hammer from other types of hammers? Well, the main thing that makes it a finish hammer is right here. It is the face of the hammer is always smooth, and it's a little bit convex. It means it's slightly rounded out, and there's a reason for that as well, which we'll talk about as we're nailing. So you have this version of it and this version of it, and what you see different here, which I held up, is the claw here is much more round right here, and this one is straight. So this is a traditional finish hammer. It's got the rounded claw, it's got the smooth face, short handle, usually wood. They make them out of everything now, but I like the nice wood handled ones. This is a fairly old one I've had for a long time. Same with this one. I like them when they're a little bit worn. So these are both finish hammers. This is called a rip finish hammer, and this is a claw finish hammer. This is a claw because of this feature. The back claw that's curved like the claw of an animal. Claw feature of it. They all have a claw, but that feature actually gives it another name, a distinguishing way to tell it. This again would be called a rip claw, and this is a claw. They're both called claws, but this claw, because it's curved, is used for a particular thing. And we'll get into this part at a different time. This is the one we want to look at. So main features again, short, usually the weight of the head, which they put the weight of the hammer on here, it's going to be the weight of this only. It doesn't take into account if you have a long handle, a short handle. The weight of the hammer is always just the weight of the metal head. So these are, if I can even read it, it's a little worn, both 16 ounce. They're the same head. If I see it right, man, they're so rusted. I have to clean to see it. It usually has it on there. They'll have a nice short handle, and the reason for that is because when you're using it for finish work, you want to have the most control. You want to be able to control the hit of the nail, or if you're just hitting wood together, you want to have that control point. So the nails that we use then for these short-handled finish type work are much shorter than framing nails that we use to build walls for houses. They're much bigger, stronger, etc., etc. These are the types we mainly use. So let's look at one of type. This is a common box nail, they call it. There's smooth face nails and there's box nails. There's a bunch of different names for them as well, for different features they have. They'll have a head. It looks like a little flat part. You can see it there. And when you put it in, this is how you're going to put the nail in. This one's a little bit bent. I had a hard time finding them. You're going to start the nail like so, very carefully, and then you're going to pull your hand away. See, this is already in there, barely hit it, and then you take this in a very controlled way, short of hits You want to learn to not hit the wood. Oh, great. Here comes my dog. Now he's featured on this film. This, again, controlled, short, keep your arm in here. You're not, when a framing hammer, you use your shoulder. When you use finish hammer and finish nails, you use it right in here and kind of control your hits. Keep your eye on the head, and you'll learn as you practice to get better at it. The finish nails don't have a head. See the difference? It has a little, looks like a little golf tee head, actually, with a little hole in it. We'll talk about that at a later time. Same idea. Once you start it, you hold it next to the wood with 2 fingers. Take your hammer. Short little hits. Controlling where you're not going to hit your hand. Don't go like this and hit your fingers. And then once you do it, it doesn't take much to get it embedded in the wood. You pull your hand away, and you just, in a very controlled manner, hit it, and then practice right before it hits the wood. So when I look at the wood, I don't want to see a big mark made by the hammer. That's exactly what you want to learn with a finish hammer. You don't want to mar the wood. You want to keep it smooth because you're at a finished stage of woodworking where you're going to either sand it, stain it, paint it, whatever it is. Again, I'll go over it one more time. Short nail with a head. Put it here. Little short hits. Very controlled. There you go. Finish nail. Same thing. Very controlled. If you find it's not going in and you're bouncing and bending it, you're probably not hitting it hard enough. Okay. So these are the main nails you use. You use a box or common nail with a head. It'll be short, it won't be a big nail, and then you're going to use a finish nail, which is a nail that's considered not to have a head. Why? Because when it's embedded and then you put some wood dough or putty or some form of covering the hole, sand it or whatever you're going to do with it, it gets painted. You don't see the nails. That's what finished nails are for. Okay. That was number 3. Proper leverage and control in using the finish hammer. I already showed you that. It's right in here. Very controlled with your forearm, right in here with your bicep. You're leveraging it right here. Short, controlled things. If it's smaller, the nail's smaller, maybe it's even shorter controlled. The more you need control, the shorter the hit. But it's almost like a karate chop. You want power to get it embedded into the wood, but you don't want to hit the wood. So I see a lot of people, again, they hit it too weakly and it just never goes in. They're afraid to hit it. You have to put some force on it to get it in the wood. Okay, the proper leverage for a claw to pull a nail. Aha! So if I have a nail in here like this, again, this is why I have this one and why I want to feature this one with this claw, curved claw. That's where you're going to pull the nail. So the 6th actual task on here is demonstrating how not to damage the wood when pulling the nail. I meant to have a short piece of it here, which I don't. But I have a piece of plywood. See, I don't want to mark this wood at all. When I'm going to pull it, I slide in a little piece of some other form of wood, and then when I pull it, there's no marks are ever going to show up here. That's a pretty common use of a little piece of scrap, so that as you leverage it, and you'll see this curve, you always leverage it toward you. You're going to put the wood right here so that as you turn it, it will mark the wood. This is some old framing wood, but you have nice soft wood, it will put a big dent in it, and then you got to sand it. So you don't want that. That's how you protect it. So that's the finish hammer. That's how you use it. What is always a feature of the face of a finish hammer? It's always smooth. And it's There are 2 things you can do to have more control when using a finish hammer. What are they? Well, use a lighter hammer or shorter strokes with your hitting. Just control it right in here. The more you leverage it up like this, the less control you have. Why is the claw of some finish hammer curved? We just got into that. For pulling nails. Why should you not use a finish hammer to pull a large nail? It will break it here. You want to use a steel hammer or fiberglass hammer or a pry bar. You don't want to use this. Perfect time for my dog to come out barking. Demonstrate how to pull a nail and demonstrate how to nail. That's number 42, which is learning how to use a finish hammer sky out.
on.